across the state of New York. I am the legislative chair of the NYCRA, which is the board that has spearheaded the Under One Roof mission.
So can we put under your name, Under One Roof?
Yes.
It has to be very short under your name. Okay, cool.
Yes.
So, as part of this Under One Roof, what are you guys, what are you upset about? What is your reaction?
So there were tenant protection laws that were passed in June, and what we're concerned about is that those laws have changed the way that landlords are able to conduct their business, but moreover, they've had adverse and unintended consequences towards tenants as well. And so our mission is to work across the state with both landlords and tenants, as well as applicants who are being adversely affected. Seniors, students, foreign nationals, they're all having detrimental effects towards themselves as it relates to housing. And so we want to protect those rights and make sure that we maintain the integrity and the preservation of landlords to still have these properties available for people to rent in the state of New York.
Do you want the law repeat? It's a law or
Yeah, so we're looking to tweak a few areas of that law, again, to make it so that landlords have more control over their properties and to give tenants rights to negotiate with their landlords instead of being turned away because the law prevents them from contracting together.
How specifically does it hurt landlords being able to help their tenants? I understand.
So, for instance, there's one of the mechanisms that was changed was that a landlord can only ask for 1 month's security deposit and no advance. Landlords used to, as part of their screening tools, ask for a double security deposit or ask for first or last month's rent when a tenant could not meet the standards of that landlord's criteria. And that would give tenants another option to be able to live in a house that maybe was a little bit out of their reach or a little bit above their credit score. Now tenants are just getting turned away. So what we're seeing is an adverse effect on groups like seniors who are fixed income or first-time renters who maybe don't have the credit scores. And instead they're getting lesser housing, maybe in worse school districts or unsafe neighborhoods. And that's a real concern of ours, to make sure that there's safety for all and options for these tenants.
Okay. You think the law was well-intentioned?
I think that there was some necessity for change, but I think that it's a slippery slope and they went too far.
I'm just very concerned. I've been in the business for 20 years. At one point we had 115 units. We are a landlord that services primarily the lower income in this area. We've been proud to do so, okay? And the fact is that it's becoming much, much harder to operate in that business at this time because of the new laws. It's just been very deleterious to our business.
Now, did this law just go in effect as of when?
The laws went into effect, most of the laws were passed during the summertime in June, from my understanding, the laws that came out of Albany. Primarily, the laws that I have most concern with, at least from my perspective, is the lengthy eviction process and how that impacts not only my tenants, myself, my safety, the safety of the community. The fact is that I have limited ability at this point to screen my tenants properly. I can no longer look at eviction history. I can no longer look at some other criminal background in that. So my options for picking the proper tenant that is going to be sitting next door to my best tenants is limited. And so that impacts everyone. So my best tenants are now forced, and myself are forced to possibly having to deal with a tenant that may be disruptive, that may be unsafe, and it takes me longer to get rid of them.
How much longer?
Well, in the past, on average, if I had a problem tenant and they didn't address their issues, because we try to work with them, if they didn't understand that we needed something different from them behavior-wise, then we would ask them to move. Typically, that process would take about a 30-day time frame from start to end, and then another 30 days possibly to re-rent. At this time, we're looking at roughly 2 to 3 months to get that problem tenant out. All the while they're sitting there creating disruption to the rest of the tenants, myself, my safety. It's just not a positive experience, I can say.
Has it ever worked out that you misjudged a tenant, that with better review you found out the tenant was in a violation, or I don't know? What is the purpose of that extra time, I'm wondering? That is
The purpose of the extra time,
Allegedly.
well, I know that the intention of the law is there. It's, there's good intention behind the law, but the ramifications of the law on my end and on the tenants, the good tenants, are that it's been less than a positive experience. So I think that the law has pushed too far. I think there's somewhere in the middle that needs to be looked at, in my opinion.
Gotcha. So what's the next step for your group? You're gonna go lobby Albany, or
Yes.
What's that?
We're,
what are you hoping happens? Just changing it up.
yes, we're looking to travel to Albany to have our voice heard. Hopefully, that voice will be heard. I know that the tenants union and some of the others have had their voice and their message heard. We'd like our voice heard as well. Unfortunately, sometimes we're seen as the bad guy, and we're really not. I know that there are some landlords that may fit that category. I don't necessarily condone those types of behaviors or those types of landlords, because I don't consider myself one of those individuals. I try to do my best and do what's right by my tenants. However, in those cases where there are bad landlords, those issues should be addressed. But I think having a global, one-size-fits-all legislation package that penalizes everyone, I think is not the way to go.
Okay, thank you.